Stop the emotional overwhelm. Use the secret in this video. Understanding these 3 types of empathy will help you to develop your psychic abilities more easily. And the secret we're going to share will help you reclaim your emotional baseline, quickly. Be sure to stick around for that. For those of you that are just getting to know us,
I'm Heather.
And I'm David.
From ZenRoseGarden.com,
home of Zen Ed Academy. For a little over the past decade plus, we've worked with thousands of people across the globe to help them hone and use their individual psychic gifts to enjoy a more fulfilling life and find their psychic clarity through something that we call neural bridge alignment.
But as you guys come on, please let us know where you are from.
And if you have any questions as we go, drop them in the comments.
Heck yes. Okay, so let's get into it. Too often we hear about our clients, students, or people in general who have been emotionally overwhelmed for years. And it doesn't have to be this way. I'm here to tell you that. Just being aware of these types of empathy that we're about to tell you can help you understand what's happening in your emotional world.
So if you find yourself lost and confused or emotionally overwhelmed, you're going to want to pay close attention to what we share in this video.
I think you're going to like it. So I'm going to talk about how to be an emotional life raft for your client.
Without drowning.
Right. For those of you that are tarot readers, light workers, Reiki, whatever you do for your clients. So how to be an emotional life raft for your client, which is something that we've practiced for years because that's basically what you need to do, right? So let's talk empathy and empathy disorder, which is sometimes called hyper empathy, and we're going to bring a new perspective to that conversation, okay? So empathy is about emotions and our ability to read and respond to those emotions in others. I don't know if any of you guys watched the series Hannibal. We totally loved it because we just are nuts for like kind of human
all the psychology stuff, just
abnormal psychology.
Yeah.
But the main character, I don't remember his name right now.
Hannibal.
No, the other guy. The character that solves the crimes he suffers from an empathy disorder, which is
hyper empathic.
He is hyper empathic, which means he can just step into the emotion of the other person and see kind of through their eyes. It's a super skill, right? It's crazy, but it's a real disorder. So he struggles with maintaining balance with his hyper empathy and living a normal life, which is almost impossible for him to do. So he struggles between how to use his gift and how to live a normal life. Okay.
Right.
In real life, there's ways to balance that.
Right.
So empathy is about emotions, like I said, and our ability to read and respond to them in others. And there are 3 very different ways that we sense another person's feelings, and 3 types of empathy: cognitive, emotional, and compassionate. And that is Daniel Goleman kind of outlined those.
Being cool in a crisis is essential to think clearly. This is what you need to be an emotional life raft for someone without going overboard and drowning yourself. You need to be able, in a very healthy way, to access all 3 kinds of empathy at your discretion, at will.
And that means you have to kind of have control of your fight or flight responses, right? Yep. Which is one of the things that we work on with people, especially if you are an empath or an intuitive. And this is one of the things that people like crisis workers, doctors, and psychiatrists also work on, because they are right in there with the messy emotions of a situation or the trauma or grief with you. And they have to balance with the other 2 types of empathy, because whatever emotion they're in, because being too much in cognitive empathy, for instance, can make you too detached.
Right.
Which is the first kind of empathy we're going to talk about.
So the first kind of empathy, as Heather mentioned, is cognitive empathy, or knowing how a person feels and what they might be thinking. This is great for negotiations, for any kind of a motivational speaker. This is also great for diagnosis, but this is the one with the dark side.
Hashtag Hannibal.
Narcissists, sociopaths, they are really good at this kind of empathy while having no sympathy at all for others.
And see, it's a little, see how these you kind of get an idea of how these are going to work together. So empathy is a critical thing that a leader in crisis needs. Like the leader of a country or a leader of a company or the leader of a family, all right? It's a critical thing that a leader needs in crisis, along with being cool under pressure, which is that cognitive empathy, right? But what kind of empathy? Okay, so cognitive empathy alone is not enough. You need type number 2.
And that type number 2 is emotional empathy.
You need that as a leader.
So this is when you feel physically along with the other person, as though their emotions were contagious. This depends mostly due to the mirror neuron system. And we talked about that one a while back. If you want to go watch that video, it's back there somewhere. I don't necessarily know where, but it's back there. So we talked about that one a while back. Emotional empathy attunes you to another person's inner emotional world. And we need this in order to human and to make intimate connections.
So the downside of emotional empathy alone, when that's your major operating system and you're just in emotional empathy, type number 2, is when people lack the ability to manage their own distressing emotions. So switching to cognitive empathy is a practice that pros do to prevent that burnout of always being an emotional empath.
Because if you're always in your emotional empathy, you're going to burn out.
Right.
So crisis workers can't afford to let emotional empathy overwhelm them. Okay? This does not mean that they are not capable of it.
Well, if they did, they would be making all sorts of mistakes, right?
Exactly.
Because they wouldn't be able to detach with cognitive empathy.
Right. You've got to be able to assess the situation. Yes, you're going to tap into how somebody's feeling, but you're also going to step back and take a clear, concise cognitive direction for the situation at hand without being overwhelmed and drowning in the emotional empathy of everybody else around you. You can't drown in everybody else's feelings and help them at the same time. You're not helping them if you're drowning.
It's not
just saying. Not a good look on you.
Yep.
But cognitive empathy can feel unnatural at the beginning for people who are hyper-emotional empaths because it might feel cold, it might feel detached. But this purposeful detachment with compassion, and that's the key, the compassion, it is how you stop burnout and easily detach once your session is done. Once you're done helping somebody through the situation, once the situation is over, you can get back to your baseline faster.
You know, when we were doing in-person sessions, we were sometimes seeing 30 people a week. And people would be other empaths or intuitives or Reiki workers. How do you guys do it? It's because both of us are really good switching between the cognitive empathy and the emotional empathy.
Right.
It's like emotional empathy, feel what they're and understand what they're feeling, cognitive to diagnose where that is coming from within them, and then helping them through it. And it's a skill that is not commonly taught to light workers, tarot workers in the spiritual niche.
Healers, right.
It is taught with other professionals like crisis workers, doctors,
First
psychiatrists.
responders. Yep.
It is taught in that niche. It is not taught in our niche.
Right.
So this is why it's so important to us because we're energized at the end of a week because we're able to not stay in the wrong type of empathy when we're at work. But it's when detachment leads to indifference. And this is where the cognitive can, if you're too much in the cognitive, it can make you cold, right? It's when detachment leads to indifference rather than intentional, compassionate caring that you have an issue. And that would be Hannibal Lecter's case, right?
Yep. Just go watch Hannibal and you'll understand what that looks like. So that brings us now to compassionate empathy. And you will hear us call this detached, neutral compassion, especially when we were teaching our students. This kind of empathy is where we not only understand a person's crisis and feel with them, but we are moved to help if needed with a cool head.
It's a three-tiered thing, empathy, right? It's the cognitive is helping you diagnose and understand. The emotional helps you really feel what the person is going through, but the compassionate is what moves you to action. in the human brain, there's this whole range of ability, right? Everywhere from the hyper empath, it's hyper emotional empath, and then you've got the hyper cognitive empath, like Hannibal Lecter. So psychopaths, like a Hannibal Lecter type of a brain, can't experience the emotional reaction people usually have when they see another person is in distress, but they can't understand it. Okay?
It's a pure cognitive awareness. They can understand the emotion, but they can't feel it.
They're not moved to help. You know, they don't have the compassionate empathy that it makes us human, or the emotional empathy where we're feeling it. So hyper empathy is the opposite of the sociopath. One uses only emotional empathy, and the other one only cognitive empathy. Right? And that would be sociopath or psychopath. Sociopaths can have more connection to feeling than psychopaths. It's a nature versus nurture kind of thing. So it's kind of a splitting hairs. It's nature versus nurture kind of thing. So emotional empathy, you feel the other person's thoughts and feelings. Yep, basically. There it is. So cognitive empathy is where you know this is good. You can see the other person's point of view, or you can put yourselves in their shoes without necessarily experiencing any emotion. Okay? But compassionate empathy is that bridge between the two. Nice, right? So there you go. You got cognitive empathy, and then you've got emotional empathy, and then you've got compassionate empathy, which sort of ties them all together and makes you human. So that's kind of a nutshell of empathy, because empathy is not just a one thing. It is three parts of the whole of your empathic mechanism that makes you human. Absolutely. So how do you human? Let us know in the comments. Let us know your perspective on empathy, on all of these different types of empathy in the comments below. Now that we've wrapped up, we want to tease you about the most effective, surefire way to unlock your psychic clarity and confidence in your psychic gifts in the next 30 days. We call it Neural Bridge Alignment. Yes, and if you want to learn more, you can just click in the description. There's a link. Click on the link. Click that link. Since you guys have watched this far, check out the goodies that we got for you. There's a link in the description below if you like this video. Hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. Like this, and spank that bell, naughty bell. Spank that bell to turn notifications on. So you're the first to know when we drop a new video. I feel like the video is going to land in your hands. It should. It's like waiting for the video to drop. So, or when we go live. Yep. And we know that time is a valuable and precious resource, and the fact that you guys have chosen to spend that with us, we absolutely honor and appreciate that. But most importantly, that you are here to level up your life, your skills, and take everything to a whole new level. We honor and appreciate that even more. Thank you guys for watching, and if you want more, binge on one of our other videos, wherever they happen to be. They might be around here, they might be up there, wherever they are, go find them, binge out, and we will see you guys in the next video. See you in the next video.